Hello and welcome to my video today. I'm going to be showing you how to replace the door handle on the Fisker Ocean. Specifically, I'm going to be doing the right rear door, but the instructions are going to be the same for any of the four doors. If you have purchased a kit with the Gen2A door handles like I have right here, you may get those at Tsunami Automotive. These are the steps you're going to need to follow. So let's get started. This is a quick overview of what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be removing 4 bolts that hold this piece in. This is called the door card. This entire piece will be removed, so we'll have access to the inside of the door area. I'm going to then remove some other sections so that we can reach the door handle itself, and that will also include having to remove the glass from the door, which is kind of the trickier part of this replacement process. So once I get the door handle out, put the new one in, I'll just reverse the process and we'll have the completed door replacement. Now for the tools and supplies needed for this project. I recommend a pair of work gloves, some plastic pry bars, or a trim removal tool like this, which is handy if any of the trim clips get stuck on the door that need to get reinserted on the door card. A screwdriver with a T20 bit and a T30 bit for the 2 sizes of bolts that we need to detach on the door. Also, we're going to need a ratchet wrench with a 10mm socket, preferably one with a magnetic end so that any bolts that you remove from inside the door don't get lost. And finally, if you happen to have an ORS door jig, this will help placement of the handle so that it is square in the door opening. Honestly, it's not truly necessary. You could probably do it by eye and carefully hold the door handle while you're tightening the bolts. So it's up to you whether you get one of these. I have the link in the video description for all of these items to help you get this done. Now let's go out to the car so I can start the door handle replacement. So now we're going to remove the door card. We need to take out 4 bolts. There are 2 T20s, one in the door pull and the other on the bottom center of the door card. And the other 2 are T30s and they're located in the door pull area. By the door handle, there's going to be a piece of trim here that we're going to need to remove with a plastic pry bar. Just wedge it underneath, unsnap the trim clip, and then you could just pull the whole thing out. Here you see the T20 bolt that needs to be removed. There we go. Behind the door handle, there is another piece of trim. I need to take that out. It's pretty flexible, rubber. Right one. For these 2 bolts, I'm going to be using a T30 Torx bit. Now we're on the bottom of the door card. In the center, there is another T20 bolt. So I got to put my T20 bit back in and remove this one. We have all 4 of the bolts removed, and now we're going to loosen up the door card. There are 16 clips that hold the door card into place that go all around the outside of it. That's for the rear. For the front doors, there's 17. So what we'll need to do is use some plastic pry bars or other pry tools to wedge out all of those clips. They are on very tight. So what we'll do is we'll try to loosen up in this general area right here so that we can get a grip on it so we can pull the door card out and then up to release. Oh, that was really tough. Sounds like you're breaking something, but it should be fine. There's just a whole bunch of clips in here. Just work our way around. And then I got enough of an area under here that I'm going to pull this side up by pulling on it pretty hard. All right, so it is now loose. There's some clips up top that I'm going to push up to dislodge them. Whoa! So be very careful when pulling off the door card. Make sure you hold on to it carefully because there are still two connections back here that we need to detach before this can come off entirely. So I suggest putting a stool or a box underneath the door card so it doesn't move while you're doing this process. So I am going to pull this away a little bit so you can see inside here. There are two cables, one here and one here, that I need to disassemble. So let me get to those. Now looking straight down into the opening, we have the glass side right here and the inside of the car is on this side. Here you can see the wire harness connector. You just need to push on this tab and then pull it out. Like so. Just press this and then this will be released. Just gonna tuck it over right there. Then below that is a cable for the door release. The actual lock release is right here, and this is connected to the door handle itself. So I will pull on this. There is a little ball on the end of the cable, and we got to release that. That should pop out like so. Now it's loose. And then this white mount right here, we're going to take this off. So pull up on it a little bit and it should slide right out. Like that. And then this we're gonna put over here so it doesn't move. And now the door card itself is totally free, and we can take this and place it aside. Make sure it doesn't sit on the ground. Put a towel down so you don't scratch it up. There's this black bar that goes across the opening here. We're going to remove that. There are 4 T20 bolts holding it in place. Before removing the bar, let's make sure that these cables are out of the way, or not caught up in that bracket. Then I'm going to take the last bolt out and I'll place this aside. Now we have this kind of a foam plastic cover here that keeps the inside of the door insulated. I am going to take that out. It has adhesive around the edges, so you got to be careful when removing it. I am just going to pull back on the adhesive with my little trim tool here. And if you do it just right, the adhesive will stay on here so you can reapply it when you're finished with the door handle. Once you get it started, it comes off fairly easily. There's a little grommet here for the cable to pass through, so I am going to just detach that and pop it out. You can put that back in later. Make sure you place this so that nothing gets on the sticky side. So as you can see here, that's what it looks like. I just found out that the rear doors do not need to have the window removed to access the door handle. So what I did is I closed the window all the way, and with it all the way up, there's enough room here to access the door handle. So that's great news. I'm going to do a follow-up video doing the front doors since they are different from this. Stay tuned for that one. But in the meantime, I'll show you how to go through the rest of the process of removing the door handle. Before we go any further, I want to mention that the door handle, when extended, makes it difficult to remove it from inside the door. So it's best to make it go in its recessed position. There are two different ways of doing that. You could close the door, and then what you could do is unlock it manually with that cable that I showed you. However, if you have the fuse for the siren and the horn installed, it will make the alarm go off. But if you have those fuses removed, you could do that method. The other method is to look at the lock mechanism right here. If you remember my video where I did the liftgate emergency escape mod, I temporarily latched the lock so that I could test it with my mod. So what I'm going to show you now is if you take your plastic pry bar and push this in all the way, it will make the car think that it's locked. So let me show you how to do that. If you press in like this and then all the way to the furthest back position like that. Now if I take the key fob, and I'm going to show you the exterior here. If I press lock, and now it will recess, and this is still in that position. But now that the door is open, I can actually access the area and remove the door handle from behind here. All right, so here we are, the door handles behind here. There are 3 bolts that we need to remove. There are 2 grommets here that we can pop out like that and like that. And if you look inside, you'll see one of the bolts in there. There's one, there's the other, and the third one is right here. So we have easy access to these, even with the window fully in the up position. So I'm going to use a ratchet with a 10mm socket at the end. I prefer using sockets with magnetic tips so that the bolts stick to them when you're taking them out and you don't drop them. Gently pull it out. And there we go. And for the last one, back in this area here. One thing I need to watch out for is now this handle is going to be loose, so you may want to keep one hand on it while you're getting the last bolt out, so you don't want it to fall down. All right, so now it is loose. Grab that last bolt, put it aside. So this is what the door handle module looks like. We're going to have to detach the cable here and the connectors at this end. So the door pull is right here. We're going to loosen this at the end, and then this should slide out and pop straight up like that. Now for the connectors at the end, you just flip up this tab. Then you can pull, comes right off. Then there's one more on this side. There's a little tab right here. I'm going to pull up on that and pull off this clip right there. So that's what you need to do. And now we have the old one removed. So we have the new door handle here. You can see that it still has the protective cover on the outside. You're going to place it so that the two bolt holes are on the top position like that. We're going to reattach the connectors. So we can place the large one on top like this, press it all the way in, snap in that red button. Then we'll take the smaller one, and that will also snap into place, and make sure that the plastic clip is snug on here and doesn't move. Now we can take the manual release and grab that. Here we go. I'm gonna bend this around so that it goes into that opening. And it's going to swing around. You're going to snap it into place. And then this one snaps behind this little clip right here. So now everything is in the correct position, and we can put it in through the opening on the other side. Gently lift up the door handle, and now you can see it through the opening. I'm going to use my ORS alignment tool and put that in here. And then I can just put the door handle right in it so that it matches up. Now I can go inside and attach the 3 bolts back on the other side of the handle. So I recommend putting all 3 of the bolts in and just tighten them a little bit so that they are threaded on, and don't fully tighten them yet because we want to make sure that it is aligned on the outside. So when everything looks good, do the final tightening of all 3 of those bolts and then look on the outside to make sure everything is nice and even. So let's do a test with the key fob. We're going to press unlock. And there it goes. Looks pretty even around it. Light is working. I'm going to press... Well, I can't press lock because at this point I need to finish the inside. So I'm just going to leave it unlocked at this juncture. And I'll continue with putting everything back together again on the inside. Now we have the door card. Before we put this back, make sure that all of the clips that go all around the outside of the door card are in place. If any of these are on the door, pull them off the door and insert them on the door card itself, because you'll need to have all of these clips in the proper positions for it to fit when we put it back on. So as before, I'm going to use my stool here to hold the door card while I reattach the 2 connectors. Here we have the door card over here and the door on this side. Here is the cable for the door handle, and we're going to insert this first. We are going to place it in this opening right there. All right, and then we're going to slide it back into this opening. And then the plastic part here goes over the edge. So we got to push this so it goes over this edge in the front. Actually, that is a little hard to do. There we go. Kind of pull on it a little bit and then it will snap into place. Make sure it's secure. So if we pull the door handle, it's going to move the lever. Next thing we have is the power cable. So this harness cable we're going to attach right here. So just make sure that it has the clip on the outside of the car, and then I'm going to insert it into place. Snaps in, and we're good. We have all our connections for the door, and we're ready to attach the door card on top of the door. Okay, we're going to align all of the trim clips so that they go into the holes all along the top. And then we're going to push the top in. It will snap into place. Now we're going to line up all the way down the sides so that the clips go into the openings, and then we'll press it all back against the door. All right, so I had one clip on this side that wasn't in the hole. So you definitely want to make sure all of these are in the holes before you press down, because you don't want to snap any of these clips. All right, all the trim clips are in. Another thing I suggest for any project like this is every step of the way, make sure everything is working. So now that I've attached the door handle and also the wiring harness, let's make sure they work. So I'm going to press the button for the window. And yes, we do have power to the window. And if we pull on the lock, you'll see that it moves the locking mechanism. Now reinsert the rubber trim back into the handle area. Maybe easier to do it from this side. One thing I want to mention is this rubber is quite a pain to get back into place. So I recommend using the trim tool to push it back into the recesses of the grab area, and then you can just start placing it so that everything goes into the proper position. This end piece here, just trying to get all this tucked in. Probably in the next time I do this, I won't pull it all the way out from the end. Just leave it about this area here so you can get the bolt that is in this position, because this is quite a pain to put back in. And lastly, we have the trim piece that fits in this area right here. There we go. All right, so push it so that the bottom goes in first, and then the top will snap into place. Like that. May have to mess with it a little bit, but once you got all of the clips aligned, it'll push right back into place. Before testing the door, we need to put the latch in the unlocked position, because otherwise the door will not be able to close. So I'm going to be pulling on the door handle here. And while I'm holding that open, just push the latch with the plastic pry bar to the inside position. So I'm going to do this, and it is now in the unlocked position. And the door will be able to close. Here we go. The door is now finished. Door card is back in its original position. Everything should be working now. I'm going to do some final tests here to show you how everything is working. Going to close the door, open the door, close it again, gonna lock, gonna unlock, everything lights up. Now I'm gonna try from the inside. Door handle works fine. So I'm pretty happy with the results. So overall, not that bad of an installation. I started with the rear doors first since I heard that they were easier to install, and that is definitely the case. The front doors, which I'm going to do a video on next week, is slightly more involved since you have to remove the actual glass from the door. Some more steps involved with that. This is definitely on the easier side, so maybe try the rear doors first and then do the front doors. I figure after I do all four of these, I should be an expert at replacing the door handles. But in any case, I have the rear right handle is now complete. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.